right, welcome to episode 16, I think, of The Dragon's Tomb. Issue 16, as you can tell by the cover, wherever it is on the screen.
Other side.
Right over here.
Yeah. That was the best part. Last show we did last week, the guy was giving Jack the finger the whole time, so it was kind of funny.
So, July 1978, 4th of July, I remember well. I think this is the month that Van Halen dropped their first album.
Oh, we get some music news. Save it for your Van Halen podcast.
Cover art, what did we name it this time? Viking.
It's just a Viking.
Really?
I think so.
Berenger?
I don't believe those proportions are human. I think that's a dwarf for sure.
I don't think so.
Really? Well, we'll have to ask Dean Morrissey.
Gene.
Yeah, I think it's Gene or Dean. I think it's
Jean. It's Jean. Jean Morrissey.
Jean.
Drew it in 77, not 78 though, so they've been sitting on it.
Again, but I will say, even though we make fun, it's a great picture. It's a good picture for the cover. It's starting to tap into that Molly Hatchet, whatever that other guy's name is, that kind of painted pictures like that. But
Franzetta?
Yes.
So I don't know how you went from Molly Hatchet, which is a band, to
Have you not seen Molly Hatchet album covers?
No.
You should check them out. They're like friends because of the art pictures.
Did Vallejo do them?
Boris? Maybe.
It'd be like Danzig could just steal them. He stole his covers.
Yeah. Nice.
This, save it for your Danzig podcast.
So yeah, stupid Danzig podcast. All right. Let's move on to Rob.
Danzig days are here again.
Danzig days are here.
Okay, I have to get that out. I know I interrupted. I like a good name for something.
All right, let's hear all about the Dragon Rebels, Mr. Harper.
He's once again, people are bitching about too much fiction, and he tries to defend it again.
No, there's a lot of fiction. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a lot of fiction.
This last 4 or 5 episodes, there's like maybe quarter of the issue is just story.
Yeah, there's a lot of, but they're like major writers that they're getting these exclusives, so it's probably giving the magazine a little pump by having these great writers in there. But
yeah, I mean, they were having those like real fantasy authors like that. L. Sprague de Camp
and Fritz Lieber and people like that.
Yeah,
and I don't know, it's coming up, or we know it was already in there by who is it that they have? Is it in this issue? Anyways, there's a famous author that's doing one of them coming up. Anyways, this Dragon Rumbles, yeah. So, and he's also says he's complaining that people can't take a joke, and that other zines are filled with bickering and vitriol. And I was like, has he seen Facebook? Like, this guy would be like, head exploding.
No, he hasn't seen Facebook because it's 1978.
But
he hasn't seen a computer before. Never mind.
What he's complaining about sounds like what everybody complains about groups on Facebook, which is hilarious.
Oh.
But he also says people are taking the games too serious, and it's supposed to be for fun. And that's true. That is the thing that is true. And he says that tournaments, especially at cons, have become super serious. It's like, we've seen it. Yeah, they get serious.
It's a con, though. You know, that's why this is why most of us don't play at cons.
That's right. Only Jack does.
Yeah.
Because he's the competitive one.
No, but I get roped into things very quickly. That is
he doesn't know how to say no.
downfall.
That's his problem.
No. Did I want to do this podcast? No. God, no. I would rather be doing anything than this, but
What?
And two of my buddies come up to me and go, "Hey, come on, we need
We're gonna kick him off.
We need your spark. We need you've got that je ne sais quoi." I go, "Yeah, I can't argue with that. I really can't." So I guess so.
All right. So since you have the je ne sais quoi, Mr. Fike, let's hear your article. Dazzle us.
I will dazzle you.
Razzle dazzle.
We're going to take a long walk down to page 16.
15?
Are you sure? No, because it's... Oh,
15?
no. Why, we're going to go to this. Why magic users and clerics cannot use swords.
Oh, that's farther down. That's page 18. That's page 18.
My apologies.
The one I thought you were taking to 15, because 15's the big one. That's why I was saying 15. 18, okay. Yes. Why can't magic users and clerics use swords, Jack?
Well, the author, Charles there, Sagui or Sadsack, he goes to great lengths to kind of take what is it's a balancing issue. It's a game mechanic, and kind of tries to say in the world of D&D, and this is back when you could just say the world of D&D. There wasn't much else. What instances had been I don't know, the instigating factors in why a cleric couldn't now, just wander around with a sword. And he goes into something about one time a cleric became a paladin and he was hacking up people and he got crazy and they said, okay, no more swords for no clerics. Done. And it just became accepted. And literally it is basically
no more swords for no clerics.
It is his headcanon as to why mechanically clerics can't. And,
I didn't see that any of these arguments were, they didn't. Yeah, I was like, but this just tells me why you don't want them to have it, not why they can't have it.
Yeah, you can't because the rules say you can't. That's simple. So he's making up his own fanfic as to why in the whole world why no one could, and it doesn't even make sense on a regional level. Never mind why a whole planet of clerics wouldn't.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think it's because one of his players has kept annoying him, which he kind of goes through, and this is what he told this player. He's like, "This is it. Okay, stop bothering me."
Definitely for magic users not using swords. That sounded like a player getting his comeuppance through just harsh. What was it? It was if a magic user used a weapon that wasn't a dagger, they would lose hit points and they would lose a spell.
No, that was his punishment that he created, because as you read the article, he's making all these punishments if they do it. I'm like, God, this is ultimately harsh. It's just, this is just a way to really anger your player characters not want to play with you.
Like, imagine that, you're having this thematic fight, and the magic user goes, "I'll take a tankard off the bar and I'll smash him right over his little kobold stupid face." Oh, okay. Well, you used to have web. Now you don't. What?
Yeah. Or, the thing I don't like about that, too, is, say you're in this big giant brawl in the Orc King's lair, and you're down to your last dagger, you throw it, and the only weapon you have left is some orc sword laying at the floor of your feet. Now, you're going to penalize your player character for picking up a weapon to save his life?
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I don't know, and this is the one thing that always stuck with me in D&D too, is other than someone not wanting magic users to use swords, I never could understand why they didn't let magic users use swords at all.
It's because you have to differentiate classes. Otherwise, everybody would just be a magic user who could hack people. It'd be too powerful.
it gained balance. This is the infancy of that kind of stuff. They still were thinking that your playable class is a race.
I guess is this article then related to just D&D or AD&D? Because in AD&D you started using weapon proficiencies, and then
no, not early AD&D, as we'll get to pretty soon. But no, that wasn't until much later. Weapon proficiencies.
No, AD&D they had it in the player's handbook.
Not in AD&D. I think it was 2nd edition or 3rd edition.
2.5.
Second edition had it, but you can look in the player's handbook. There's little asterisks in there. I'll have to bring up my player's handbook and look at it again. But
well,
you do that.
We'll get to the next article and we'll see what certain somebody has to say about weapon proficiencies.
Well, okay. Well, then I've finished. Unless anyone else has anything else to say about this this robust discussion about.
I see. Charles Segu get a new group because you sound like you got real jerks in your group. And you were jerk too, though. So you deserve each other.
But he brings up a lot of good of things that where magicians are using swords or clerics are using. But the funny thing is, what is it? 20 years now later, certain clerics, depending on the god you worship, can use edged weapons.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's changed over time for sure.
5th edition, there's no one who isn't a magic user, basically.
Yeah, with feats and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, it's become like, okay, my turn is this, then my second part of the turn is this.
They argued against here.
Yeah, well, I didn't like the feats. Was that 5th edition? Where are we at now?
I think it started in 4th, and then
4th. It was 4th. I did not like. I was like, this is horrible. This is a horrible version of D&D. This has become a board game, not a role-playing game.
It sold miniatures though, and that was what the deal was. They tried to make it as tabletop.
Wow!
You had to spend coin.
Just like Clicky Tech for BattleTech.
It
was to sell those random miniatures. So, yep, money.
So I mean, I don't have much more to add to this, but this was one of the articles that I chose also.
You're the host.
Oh, so then let's go to you, Rob.
It has been a week. You got a little rusty over that week.
I'm moving back up to one I thought Jack was taking, was the Sorcerer's Scroll, realism versus game logic, and Gygax goes off on one. This is gonna be a long one because he says a lot of stuff in here. So I'm just gonna hit the high points and then we'll discuss the high points. How's that sound?
He pops off.
He does pop off.
First, he says that TSR should be held up with inventors of chess, war games, and board games for inventing role-playing games, which may be true, but he says whoever invented chess. I'm like, yeah, that's the key. Nobody really remembers who invented these things. You may be the role-playing games may be held up with those, but in 100 years, maybe nobody will remember who invented them. He also says there's 100,000 D&D players, which you think, wow, that's a lot. And then I looked it up. It's 13.7 million D&D players estimated now. That's amazing. I was surprised at that number. So I was like, 100,000, that seems like a lot. And it's not a lot compared to now. But I wonder, I think about 13 million of those are thanks to Critical Role, so we'll see. He goes on to slag people who criticize D&D and those who dare to think how to improve it. And he says pretty much, if you don't like it, make your own game. Don't modify D&D, which I think that's kind of funny. And he says realism doesn't fit well into the game, which is true. It's not realistic. It's a fantasy. It's you're living in a fantasy world. You can't apply real physics to it. And he says if you want realism, join the military, which I thought was kind of funny. He also says, he said something about killing babies and stuff, and I was just like, oh, that's a little far, Derek Gare.
Gary, can I meet you over at camera 2 for a second? Gary. It's a little, can you, just a little, like, Vietnam.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
You can't talk about killing babies?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And let's the sidebar, good sidebar, Gary.
Someone's got to put those babies in the place, man.
If you don't like it, join the military.
He also says he hates crits and fumbles. He says they shouldn't be in the game because it's makes it too easy to just murder somebody.
Well, who put that in there then? If you didn't put that in there,
it's not because there's no crits and fumbles in early games. It's not until later that 1s and 20s matter. Weapon expertise. He goes on to say that everybody should be experts in their weapons.
And honestly, even today in the game, there is no fumbles. You don't in D&D itself. A 1 isn't like a fumble by any regard, like we would do it.
Yeah, it's a crit still that everybody just does. Yeah,
that it's just one of those things that everyone goes, well, if you can crit, why not? Let's.
Yeah. Well, he says he hates him because if the players can crit and fumble, so can monsters, and it's like, yeah, okay. He says weapon expertise. Yeah. Well, he doesn't want. His whole thing was he doesn't want. He thinks it would be unfun if a character just gets murdered. You're also thinking back in these games, people only have like 10 hit points. Like, it's not like you're super high level. Like, they're only playing like 30 characters. So, he says weapon expertise is stupid. He thinks that all player characters should be proficient in every weapon because they're professionals and superheroes, and there should be no weapon expertise. We were just talking about proficiencies. He says that's BS. Nobody should have those. Which obviously both those things are in the game now, crits and expertise. He says hit locations and description of combat just slow the game down or are stupid. So you should never describe how you're attacking somebody, just that I attack and roll this. And where do you hit him? Doesn't matter. He is hit. It's just crazy that
the game has evolved away from Gary Gygax. Yeah. This is probably why he lost control of it.
100%. And his staunch opposition to what the fan base is doing, you can't get to, obviously, this is all hindsight, but when your fan base is doing something and enjoying it that way, it seems like one of those things that you would want to kind of lean into, but it is his dream. He's worked very hard on it. So,
and all these things are things that he's like, sure, if you want to do it in your home game, fine, but don't put it into anywhere that anybody else should be able to read it. And he also goes off on zines. Once again, these people really hate these zines, but I think it's because one of them must have slagged him, because he says he doesn't like the zines coming up with different ways to play, but he said normally they're below my notice, and that they leech off the D&D name. But I think they've been bashing him though. So that's why he doesn't like them. And he also banned one of the Dragon magazine writers from writing for Dragon Magazine because they wrote one of these fanzines and said something about against Gary, supposedly against him. He probably just criticized, something that he wrote and some rule that he wrote.
Does he write who it was?
No, he never says who it is, but yeah. So it'd be funny to go back and see who never writes for them again. But needless to say, it's a crazy view inside of Gygax's mind and how he's got like a totalitarian grip on the game that it's just squeezing between the fingers. It's flowing away from him.
Yeah, he's trying to hold water. Control, and his iron gauntlet is
and obviously pouring. They give up because a lot of things he talks about come with Unearthed Arcana and things like that really do introduce a lot of this stuff, right? So it's kind of funny. But he went off for, this is like super long article too. I think it's like 5 pages, and the whole time he's just ranting. And I just give you the Cliff's Notes. I think anybody go to issue 16 of Dragon Magazine, go to page, page 16, I think, or 15, and go read this article, because it is crazy. And we can really see that Gygax, he did invent D&D, and he is a to be held up, but he's also a flawed individual.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He's the creator and possible early destroyer.
It could have been. That happens a lot though with when people write things that they try to keep too much control of them. So that was my article that I wanted to talk about. That second one. Who's next? Pat, do you have another one?
I do. Again, we're going to go back up to page 4. And we're still priming up for the release of D&D's Demigods, because here we have now. And this one is even a bit more bigger.
More bigger.
Than the Japanese mythos. This is the Near Eastern theater. So this one covers the Babylonians, the Sumerites, and the Canaanites, which are very, very biblical at this point. But I looked through the D&D Thingman God's book again after I read this, and the only two that made it were the Sumerians and the Babylonians. And then this pretty much divides up both this mythos, and they strike a few away from this because there's no mention of any of the Canaanite mythos. And Sumerian, Babylonian fall into their own little categories, which I don't know if that's supposed to be on purpose or they just because they're just neighbors and stuff from back in the day.
Yeah, I think they shared a lot of things too, right?
Yeah. So, again, it's a nice little insight as to where we're heading. I do like the Scorpion Men, little picture.
Where anatomically, I have questions. I have a lot of questions. If that picture wasn't there, I wouldn't. But now I'm like, okay, how? Like, a scorpion has multiple legs. Great. That would seem like the perfect mode of transportation. Mobility, fantastic. Why would you have them suspended around the waist of someone with man legs?
I have an explanation for this, Jack, and you may not like it. Look at the perspective. Let's just say it is a scorpion with a dude behind him. What is that dude doing?
Oh, no. Are we witnessing an assault?
I think we are. He's got the spear across the chest and the person's face.
The face does say that's an unsolicited entry. I'm okay. Well, I was going to go with the bladed blue hair, but Rob, you put your thumb right onto the situation. It explains a lot.
He's about to sting the person though with a scorpion tail, so it's okay. It'll all's end well.
Don't care had sex will be that guy's last thought as he crawls up onto the cobblestone.
So that was my little article. I mean, I do find it fascinating. Look at all the mythos they're putting in the magazine before it actually hits the books.
Yeah, it is a testing ground, and people will probably say stuff about it, and they'll change it up, and it's kind of beta testing, really.
All right, who's next? Rob, Jack, you got something? Jack, you got something you want to talk about?
You're in charge. You can choose. You can dictate. You be the Gary Gygax of this show right now, and you make it happen.
I want the scruffy, curmudgeon bearded guy to speak.
Oh, that's me.
I'm pretty scruffy.
That's me.
There's some scruff going on there.
But you're not a curmudgeon. You're full of youth. You look like you're 30 years old.
Oh, I'm getting old.
You can tell he's never had a day of stress in his life. Look at him. Look at him.
I'm stressed right now.
Sure.
I stressed in episode 15 when a certain history was hosting.
Was that you? I can't remember. I think it must have been you. Okay, we're going to go to, of this issue, we're going to scamper on down to page 12. And this isn't because the title is The Thursday Night D&D Game from Monty Hall and the Boys.
Monty Hall.
And it's written by James M. Ward. Now, the article is not great. It didn't... It is a story time about your game at home. And again, like I've said, no one cares. And like Rob said in the past, Dragon Magazine, if you think you're funny, you're not. But my question to you, I am positing this to you, my fine friends, because Monty Hall is a term that I don't even know if anyone uses anymore. Back when we were playing D&D, people still used it because we knew who Monty Hall was through osmosis of our parents and kind of tangentially through television. Do you two believe that perhaps this is one of the first references to Monty Hall that became the meme that it was during the into the 80s and 90s?
For D&D?
For D&D, yes. When you would say, "Oh, it's a Monty Hall campaign," where, And I suppose we could explain what that means for anyone who wasn't born in the, who was born since the invention of plastic. Monty Hall was a game show host, and he just gave a lot of stuff away.
Let's make a deal.
And he was, that was his shtick. Like, you just won a plethora of stuff on the show, and Let's Make a Deal was kind of like, what would be like a...
I don't know. He'd just go into the audience and be like, pick a pocket.
Yeah, but people dressed up in crazy costumes.
Yeah. And he'd be like, okay, pick one of my pockets. And he'd pick a pocket. Here's $100. Like, here's a chicken. Like, sometimes you get things like that.
He's the one that started with, you want to pick door number 1 or door number 2?
Yep.
Right. Like a precursor to Bob Barker, like a Let's Make a Deal situation. Where, anyways, so he was famous for just giving stuff away, and I'm wondering if, obviously, it was in the zeitgeist. People were using the nomenclature of Monty Hall.
This spawn the actual Monty Hall in D&D? It could be.
Right,
we haven't
because
seen anything about it before.
It's a game for Monty and the boys, and I think this is a reference to that kind of thing. But it says it's gaming night at Monty's house, and it's a fictional account of something other. And I'm just wondering if that was the reference, or if I'm just predating the actual thing by a little bit.
We will see a lot of firsts here, and we won't realize it's a first until you hear more and more people start using it. So
we'll
keep an eye on that in future issues. If all of a sudden they start mentioning, "Hey, I had this Monty Hall DM or Monty Hall campaign," so we'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it for me.
I got one more and then plus an ad, but my other one is on page 4 of your reader. And it is a letter to the editor, a rebuttal, the Cthulhu Mythos Revisited by Gerald Quinn.
I left that one for you.
So this is the writer of the original article. It's J. Eric Holmes, rebuts the letter from that other guy, and he comes swinging because he pretty much blasts him for not reading Lovecraft and only reading those who came after him, because like a lot of stuff he's like, yeah, that's something that this person said. That's not what was in the original Lovecraft. And like he just goes through everything the guy said. And so much so that he even says like, if you're going to accuse someone of spelling something wrong, maybe you should actually spell check your own article. Like it was like, oh my God. And he pretty much ends it with saying that, because the other guy said, oh, Lovecraft would be rolling in his grave if he saw this. And he said, well, the only thing Lovecraft would do would be laughing at you for being so pedantic. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I bet Gerald Gwynn is never going to write another article to Dragon Magazine because he got blasted. It's pretty funny.
It's funny. It takes months through the mail system and the publication.
Yeah, this would be posts in Facebook for sure. If
you were on Tumblr, it would already be a full-fledged flame war within like about half a minute. And this Gerald this Gerald picking up his issue of Dragon, oh, this is nice. Probably sitting on the can, flip. Oh, no. Oh.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else have any articles, because the other thing I want to talk about is on page 24, and that's a big thing. It's RuneQuest. RuneQuest has been introduced. Another one of the seminal fantasy role-playing games from Chaosium. Yes, Jack? I
almost brought this up because I didn't want to sound stupid. I didn't know if this was the same game that I had heard of.
Yep.
Or
this is it. It's still being played to this day. It's one of those. It's an alternative to D&D that people love. I've never played it personally, but it is a much loved version of D&D. Not version of D&D, a fantasy role playing game. It is still being around today from Chaosium. So it is interesting. I can't wait till, like we said, Call of Cthulhu and things like that pop up. We're seeing these games that are just being introduced and they're trying to sell them full page ad and Dragon. It's like, Don't worry, guys. You're going to be successful.
Because when I was reading through, I was like, oh, because it kind of says, blah, blah, blah. It's got, mages can wear armor and they can use blades and stuff. I'm reading through this long list, and I'm thinking this can't be the game that is still now present day. Because I think Gary Gygax would flip his lid if he knew that this game was in the magazine where he was chastising the people who had, rode on his back. I was like, no, it can't be. It can't be, but okay.
Clearly organized rules. I think that was a little shot over the bow to D&D. So, that's it for me, though.
I'd like to put, I don't have any markers, but I'd like to bring out down to page 37.
37?
Yep.
You got a little cage in there. You put a little spice on that.
I don't understand your language.
Gotta go down to page 37.
The new dungeon?
Yeah, so this is the dungeon that I know and remember from growing up. When they put it on Main Street right here up to 50, right by the lake.
2 hours to Chicago.
That's right. Hour and a half, really.
Only because you drive over the speed limit.
Yeah.
Well, they probably have new highways, too, that they never had back then.
Yeah, I think the interstates were just finishing up around that point.
Well, it's Highway 12. Yeah, it's Highway 12.
It looks like there's a full cloverleaf on-ramp situation. That's, I think, the highways and byways of the United States, thanks to World War II, really a thing of beauty.
Well, I thought it was really cool to see that the map to the new dungeon. It's sad that the store is gone.
It's not there anymore, yeah.
No. I think it died off somewhere when I was away in California.
Nothing lasts forever.
No. I think it's the only other ads I've seen. Ogre, of course, is on the page next to it.
But yeah, they have colors in their ads now, which is nice. Yeah, no, nothing else new.
Yeah, I didn't see much in this article either.
Jackie,
it was a lot of stories in this one too.
Well, they had that big one. What was it called? The Green Magician Part 2.
That was Elsprig, right?
Yeah, it was those two people, I think, wrote that one. And yeah, it took up a lot of the issue.
And same with Gary Gygax's...
his rant took up a lot of this issue, too. Yeah.
His manifesto took a lot of the issue, too.
His Unabomber-esque manifesto.
Yeah, if he went into like one of the places where they made zines and shot it up, this is what they'd be reading in court.
Yeah.
So,
Pat, we can't hear you. What happened?
Pat, what happened?
We muted him. He's dead. He's dead to us. No. I will wrap up this episode then, since Pat is lost his voice. You can sign language.
He was having technical issues with his mic hooked up to a different computer, and now, we can't hear you. Sorry, Patrick. No, Rob, you take over.
I'll wrap this up.
Or how about I do it?
Okay, yeah, please.
How about I do it?
Yep.
No, you.
Oh, you sure? You go ahead.
Go on. Go on.
No, you go.
No.
Oh, we heard you for a second, but he's gone again. It's over. This episode's over. It's all right.
Okay.
He's getting mad now. This has been issue 16 of the Dragon Magazine, and we'll join you next week for issue 17. And that's about it. Like, share, subscribe, click all the buttons, comment below, please do. Tell us how that Gygax is a god and that we're all damned to hell for making fun of him. It's like we hear him click one thing and then he's gone again. I've been Rob. Yeah.
I'm Jack.
And that was Pat. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.